Welcome everyone, Atheenon here with your top 5 sources of fuel in the long dark, and where to find them. First off, we got sticks, 0.15 kilos, and a degree of warmth. Really nice item to have. Always carry some in my backpack. Next, reclaimed wood. At 0.25 kilos, it gives you 3 degrees of warmth, but you do have to break down furniture and boxes and other things to get it, in general. You can find some, but not always, especially on Interloper. Cedar, my favorite wood. Coming in at half a kilo, it gives 6 degrees of warmth, and I love it. Fur, not the best at 1 kilo weight, but it does give a 8 degrees centigrade warmth, which is kind of nice on those cold days. And then coal, at a warmth of 20 degrees for 1 piece, it's the best fuel around at only 0.3 kilos. Always carry some, baby. Then we got books and some fire logs. Books are really nice early game with a 20% bonus on your fire starting skill, but not so good in late game, as they only give 2 degrees on the fire. Fire logs are great on the time that they add to the fire, but they only give 3 degrees warmth and they weigh 2 kilos. So not the best thing to have around because it's a very heavy item. Sticks. They're everywhere. Literally everywhere. And they're very easy to pick up. They're very lightweight. And you'll want to pack your backpack with them when you're out in the wild, gathering resources. Even to the point where you'll have so many, you'll leave some in a house, leave some in a cave, and you'll have them for later on. You'll never have too many sticks. Another way to get sticks, though, is to get them from branches. Branches, generally, you won't want to break down on Interloper because it's so cold, but if you really need to, you can break them down with your hands or a tool and get 3 sticks from them. Reclaimed wood is often underrated, not only by me, but by a lot of players, but it is actually really good. At 0.25 kilos, it gives you 3 degrees of warmth, versus sticks, which for the same amount of warmth would weigh almost twice as much as the reclaimed wood. Reclaimed wood does spawn in outdoors areas, but usually you get it from breaking down items like small crates, furniture, planks, and shelves. Most of the time, you can use your hands on a lot of these items, but for items like furniture, as well as some of the planks, you'll need a tool like a heavy hammer or a hatchet. Now, the most common source of reclaimed wood is the large crates. And these large green crates usually spawn inside buildings, although some do spawn outdoors as well. Like this one here in the Milton garage. Large wooden crates you can either use a tool on, or you can use your hands, which means you can break them down in the dark. They give you a good supply of reclaimed wood, and get you going down the road. Let's talk about cedar and fir. The cedar and fir are your 2 hardwoods of the game, and they're generally found outdoors in sheds, behind buildings, in caves, around campfires, and other places, like around bodies, as in behind the Milton farmhouse, around this body. And oh look, we found ourselves a hacksaw and a hatchet, which will allow us to get cedar and fir in the more traditional manner that most people do. Now, I would generally not recommend cutting down cedar or fir in Interloper, since you usually have to have a fire going, or it has to be late in the evening and have 1 arrow down temperatures, but if you do, you can chop the limb with either the hacksaw or the hatchet. Although it does take longer with the hacksaw than the hatchet, you will get 3 cedar and a little bit of tinder using either tool. Now, cedar, in my opinion, is more abundant than fir. You can visually tell the 2 apart from afar by the number of limbs coming out of the trunk on the ground. Cedar will have 3 limbs coming out of the trunk, and fir will only have 2, as we'll see in a moment. Oh, look, there's a fur over there. Let's go get it. The big difference between the two is the weight to warmth ratio. Cedar will give you 6 degrees of warmth for only a half a kilo, whereas fur gives you 8 degrees of warmth, but it weighs a full kilo. So, if you have the option to carry 2 cedar instead of a fur, you're going to be carrying the same amount of weight, but you'll get 4 degrees more warmth out of it. So, do it if you can. Now again, fur can be cut down with a hacksaw or a hatchet, although the hatchet is faster again. And at the end of the day, you'll get the same amount of fur. You'll get 3 of them from each fur limb that you cut. Coal is the best. You can find coal in outdoor caves, along rivers, mountainsides, and even some burnt-out buildings. But the best source of coal is the indoor caves. So make sure you have a light source and go. Caves also have cedar, sticks, fir, branches, and limbs to break down. So get everything you can when you're inside there. But coal is the main attraction when you're inside a cave. At only 3 kilos, it gives you 20 degrees on the fire, which is the best weight to warmth ratio in the entire game. And best of all, coal respawns in the caves once you pick it up. Sure, it takes a week or two in-game for it to respawn, but it is well worth the wait. So make sure you pick up every single piece of coal you can, look in all the nooks and crannies, grab all of it. Because coal, if you can load up on it, will probably save your life one day out there in the long dark. Which brings us to our final 2 items, books and fire logs. Books are generally found anywhere. You can find them inside, you can find them outside, you can find them beside bodies, you can find them in houses. You find a lot of them in houses. But they're not the greatest item in the world to carry around. They only give you 2 degrees of warmth for a half a kilo. Not so great. But what is even less great than those is fire logs. Fire logs you can find by fireplaces most of the time. You'll sometimes find them outdoors, but generally by fireplaces is where they'll be. Fire logs weigh 2 kilos and only give you 3 degrees of warmth. So especially an interloper, they're not a great item to carry around with you since you have very limited space and limited weight. So in conclusion, top 5. Number 1, coal. It's awesome. Nuff said. Number 2, cedar. The weight versus warmth ratio, one of the best in the game. Reclaimed wood is right behind it. Sticks, although they're abundant, it only comes in at number 4. And finally, fur. The lonely fur comes in at number 5. Use it if you got to. Which brings us to our honorable mentions. Books. They're really good early game, not so much late game. Use them to start fires and lose them later. Fire logs. If you got it, burn it. It'll give you a lot of time on the fire, but don't carry it around. It ain't worth it. So there's my top 5 fuels for the long dark. What do you think? Would you rate them any differently? Let me know in the comments. And thank you so much for watching this video. If you enjoyed it, don't forget to hit that like and subscribe button. And I will see you next time for more Long Dark. A special thank you to all of our channel members. Thank you for your continued support here on YouTube and also on Twitch. If you wish to support the channel, hit that join button and become an Athpack member today. As always, bears and alpha wolves will get special mention in the rolling credits at the end of these videos. Thank you again for watching, and I'll see you next time.